What's up, guys? So tonight I want to be talking about a couple different stories with you guys about Session Messenger. If you're familiar or if you're not familiar, Session Messenger is something that has aimed to take out a lot of the metadata that is normally associated with end-to-end encrypted messenger applications. Something like Signal without the phone number, but it also uses a ID number instead of requiring that phone number and various other verification methods such as email address that certain messenger options and end-to-end encryption options may require. Now, what has happened and what we have seen coming for quite a long time now is the police actually visited the home of at least one of the developers. And so what this story is about is the founder of Session has actually relocated to Switzerland. Now, does that mean the whole Session team has moved to Switzerland? Well, that's possibly a concern, at least for some people, because, of course, those who are developers that still live in Australia could technically still be visited. And, I believe, and I am, highly principled in that I believe in no compromises for both potential online anonymity and also for the potential for privacy and encryption, secure encryption, end-to-end encryption, no backdoors. I will never go back on that. And as I cover this story, I'm also going to be covering another story as well, at least another story. And so stay tuned and make sure to follow the channel. So if you're interested in learning about, important stories like this and you want to learn tips and tricks for protecting your security, your privacy, and just learning Linux in general, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment and let me know what you think. So the founder of Session, which is an encrypted messaging platform, so it's something you can download for your phone or you can even download it for your computer, and it doesn't need your phone number, it doesn't need your email, it doesn't need anything. And what it does is it actually routes all of the messaging end-to-end encrypted through an onion network. So similar to what the Tor network, which Tor itself, Tor, stands for the onion router. Well, this is not Tor. This is similar in protocol in that it is onion routing, but it also is on the Sessions Lokinet network. It is based on Oxen, so there is a cryptocurrency associated with it, and I'm not going to get into that because I don't cover those kind of topics on this channel. Session was created in Australia, and Australia has been known to have anti-terrorism laws that were passed where they can actually issue notices requiring developers to assist in investigations. Now, this can even include technical assistance, which could require developers to possibly build in a capability for police to actually break the encryption on the services. So that's a big concern, and it's something that we've all been looking at. Everyone in this privacy sphere has been looking at Australia, and really Australia is really shooting themselves in the foot here with laws like this. What it's going to do is it's just going to, as we see here, cause technology companies that have customers that need trust, which is basically every technology company, they're all going to be moving out of Australia. And that's just, what I see happening over the next several years if this kind of thing keeps coming down, overbearing and targeting developers to try and gather information or violate the very principles of those developers and those applications they work on. So they actually went all the way to move to Switzerland, which is known as a more respecting of privacy technology. So there's a lot of different companies based in Switzerland. I believe Proton might be based in Switzerland, if I recall. And, it's well known to have discretion. So Switzerland has known for that. Now, the founder of Session has also pointed to the expected arrival of an age assurance for a social media. And now what that is something like they say it's just to verify the age of users on a social media platform. platform. But really what it comes down to verify that age, you have to get the identification and personal identifiers from those users just to verify the age. And so with that comes de-anonymizing any users on social media. And we're going to cover another story here after this one. So Session has put out a post talking about the Session Technology Foundation, which is now based in Switzerland. So it is a Swiss foundation now, and it aligns more with their mission to protect privacy and anonymity, which is something I truly believe is so vitally important, because really, when you do not have that privacy, that anonymity, you only have a promise of your rights. Your rights are only a promise. Without anonymity, without privacy, those are the only two things that can truly protect your rights and guarantee them. They are a guarantor of your rights. And without those two things, or without one of those things, you cannot guarantee that you will have rights in the future. Because if with all of this technology, all of this artificial intelligence, mass surveillance combined, being rolled out into the future, eventually there's going to be systems in place where massive integrations take place, and it basically is totalitarian infrastructure. And it really is only waiting for the right person to come along and take power. And if that were to occur, or if a military dictatorship ever were to come to be in whatever country someone may reside in, well, all of these systems in place would be very convenient to maintaining power and totalitarianism. And that is why it is so vitally important, in my eyes, to speak on the topic of privacy, to talk about these narratives. Because as I always mention, if we aren't talking about these things, someone else is going to set narratives for us. And that's exactly what is actually happening in these other articles. Now, we look at a actual article from a year ago from Mark Weinstein, and well, he actually defends privacy here, and he goes into it, and apparently he's a privacy expert. I'm not personally familiar with this guy, and I think it's interesting, his article here. He talks about the dangers of the Earn It Act, the Stop CSAM Act, and just like with terrorism, it's used as a tool to harm rights. It really is. And you just have to look at the results. When you look at these acts, these laws, what they want to do is they want to scan your messages before the encryption even takes place, so that they can be scanned, cataloged, and identified by the user, and then reported on for what they say is to protect kids. And of course, I'm all for protecting kids. I've mentioned that in many videos. I believe that kids can be protected with proper investigations. I believe with sting operations that kids can be protected without violating your right to privacy, without violating the very principles of end-to-end encryption, the very protocols of end-to-end encryption. You don't need to destroy security and privacy, anonymity, in order to protect children. And anyone telling you that is not being honest with you. And there are major corporations and NGOs who stand to benefit financially from these acts. They get to implement their technology. They get to say they have a solution. And there's plenty of people who are paid to state different possibilities and solutions for what they say is their problem. And of course, they stand to benefit financially, and that is the kind of thing that we should always be looking out for. And we can't give up our rights with a promise of protecting kids. I mean, come on. This is just BS, and we know it's BS. Now, what's interesting about this article is he is all for privacy, anonymity here, and this is 2023. And then guess what? For our last article, same author here: to save our democracy, we must get rid of online anonymity. Wonder what happened between this date in this state. I wonder if he has any new businesses or any new partnerships. I really am just wondering why he is so adamantly against anonymity online. And, in order to speak freely, to truly speak freely, you need the right to anonymity. That's just the truth. You can't, in this day and age where companies are so powerful, where they're able to gain so much data on us, if you don't have the possibility of speaking with anonymity, you're not going to be able to speak truth to power, especially when you could get your bank account closed. You could have so many different accounts closed, and that actually happens, and it may be happening to people we don't agree with today, but the truth is, down the line, this will spread. This may only be affecting certain people with, certain political viewpoints, but you really think that it could never turn into more than that? Well, once you start these precedents, it has a tendency to snowball, and it spreads out into other lanes and starts to take down other things that certain people in power may disagree with. Well, this is interesting. I just think it's very interesting. Well, at least he admits that certain circumstances, anonymity must be protected, such as whistleblowers, journalistic sources, political dissidents, and others speaking truth to power. Who's to say who is speaking truth to power? I mean, if you can't get a social media account or whatever kind of account it is without sacrificing your anonymity, how are you ever going to speak truth to power on those platforms? How are they going to draw the line? And who gets to decide who qualifies for anonymity online? So once again, we see more of this BS narrative that we've got to save democracy by destroying our rights online. So why now? Well, it's just another agenda that's being pushed in order to enrich major corporations. Not only that, but it can also aid in artificial intelligence because, of course, with all of the anonymous accounts that are speaking about various topics and possibly inserting disinformation, which is one way to protect your privacy online and your anonymity online, is to feed that AI disinformation. And I've talked about that in several videos in the past, but somebody left a comment recently about this, so I figured I'd bring it up again. When you are asked for information, you don't necessarily have to give your most personal information. You could also speak in ways that you may not normally, because of course we know stylometry, things like that can detect who you are based on your speech patterns online. So there's a lot of different techniques that we can use, and of course I'll continue talking about these topics, but isn't that funny? He wrote the article about how important it is to protect our right to privacy. And of course, I know that privacy and anonymity are two different things, but if you read the two articles, there's quite a contrast in the narrative itself. And apparently, he's described as a world-renowned tech thought leader and privacy expert, founder of social network MeWe. So he thinks we need user ID verification online. That's great, isn't it? Quite a contrast from his article really aggressively defending privacy the year before, don't you think? I'll let you go through the article, but basically he thinks that only certain people should have the right to online anonymity. But who's to decide? That is the question, isn't it? Let me know what you think in the comments, guys, and make sure to follow me on Mastodon account, also over on the X platform or Twitter at TV Privacy, and check out the blog. It is on both ClearNet. We have it on bmc.link/politictech, and then we also have it over on I2P. So you can check it out on I2P as well at righttoprivacy.i2p. And I will be back soon with another video on how to protect your security and privacy.